Hello, hello. I can see people joining now. Wonderful. Welcome, 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 welcome to Confident Boundaries, Confident You. I would love to know where you are joining from. So just open up the chat and share where you're joining from right now. I would love to hear from you all right off the bat. Let me know where you're from. We're going to give everybody just a couple more seconds. Yeah, Susan, hi. Yeah, oh, awesome. From Missouri, that's wonderful. Good. Denver, love it. Oh, hi, Jen. I'm so glad you're here. So if you haven't done it yet, put where you're from in the chat. I'd love to see. This is wonderful. Good. So we're just going to give about a few more seconds to let other people kind of trickle in, make sure that they're coming in here. So let's get started. Tonight is going to be all about learning how to set confident boundaries for the holiday season. So everybody is getting in just in time. We have holidays coming up, and I know it can be a really stressful time of year. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raina, and I am the founder and owner of Raina Garner Coaching and Counseling. And I am also an IFS practitioner and a certified coach. And I'm absolutely thrilled that you all are here. You are in the right place. If you are looking for more peace and ease as we head into the holidays, you're not alone if you externally seem to have it all together, but internally struggle with confidence and setting clear, healthy boundaries. If you feel drained and underappreciated and often find yourself feeling guilty if you don't do it all. My mission is to help people just like you break free from these patterns. And today, I'm here to share how you can make a real shift towards confidence and towards healthy boundaries without feeling guilty for putting yourself first. So before we kind of jump in, I want you to grab a pen and piece of paper. We're not going to need it right now, but we will need it later for the exercise that we're going to do closer towards the end. If pen and piece of paper isn't your jam, just open up a cell phone note so that you can do the exercise there. Okay, so everybody go do that now. I'll just give a couple seconds for that. Maybe you already have one. And then I do want to share just a little bit about my own personal journey to confident boundaries. This might be the first time that some of you are meeting me, and I want you to be able to reflect on how you can do this too, even if it feels out of reach right now. What we are going to cover today is based on real results from both me and my wonderful clients. So back in 2007, I was probably pretty similar to where you might be right now. I was holding up what felt like an unbreakable facade, was juggling, running a health clinic, balancing school, and consistently supporting everyone around me, regardless of how I felt inside. I truly believed I could do it all, and with a smile on my face. Because isn't that the expectation? I was stretched so thin, convincing myself that if I just tried harder and pushed through, I could keep it all together. Because if I couldn't, that might mean I was flawed in some way. Back then, boundaries weren't even on my radar because boundaries were for people who weren't Superwoman, and I was living proof that Superwoman existed. But that eventually started to take its toll on my mental health. When I didn't have the energy to do or be everything for everyone around me, self-criticism got even heavier. I ignored my own needs and wants for so long that I didn't even know what they were anymore. Anxiety set in and depression came looking for me. The woman who had it all together was beginning to crumble. There was no avoiding it. It wasn't until late one night, driving home from work, I heard a voice yelling, "Wake up!" When I opened my eyes, my car was heading straight for the huge trunk of a tree. I swerved just in time, my heart pounding in my chest. That was literally my wake-up call. I had hit rock bottom burnout. And in that moment, I realized I had to change. I couldn't keep going on like this. So I started to put up boundaries with work and with people around me, but nothing seemed to actually change except for my level of aggravation with others and a newfound sense of suffocating guilt. So I embarked on a deeply personal healing journey, immersing myself in therapy, research, and thousands of hours of training to find out why my boundaries weren't working. And most importantly, to help others avoid the same burnout. Over the last 15 years, I've dedicated myself to guiding women worldwide to understand their unique boundary personalities, helping them uncover how these patterns drive their behaviors and reactions, and healing the root cause of why these patterns were set in motion in the first place. Today, I'm going to share with you what I've learned and support you in finding that same freedom. So many of us feel disconnected from our own needs and wants, especially in moments when we're asked to stretch beyond our capacity. And it's oftentimes by the people closest to us. The holidays can bring a unique stress because we want to be there for others. But sometimes it feels like we have to trade our peace and well-being to make other people happy. We do it because in the beginning, it feels good to be there for others. But when we start pushing ourselves past the point of giving into pure depletion, we feel like there's no way out, which leaves us with a lack of confidence in ourselves. Does this resonate with any of you? If this resonates with you, type yes in the comments. Yeah. Right? It's why we're all here. This cycle is exhausting, and I want you to walk away today with simple, doable tools and strategies you can use to start breaking this depletion cycle for yourself. You don't have to have your own veering towards a tree story to realize that things need to change. That is why we are here today. So let's make setting confident boundaries a little easier. How does that sound? First, though, we do need to address something, that it is not your fault. It is not your fault that you struggle with boundaries. And I also want to make it clear that I'm not trying to point fingers either, but I really want each and every one of you to understand that it's not your fault that setting boundaries is hard. Many of us grow up in environments where boundaries were misunderstood or discouraged. Through my work with clients over the past 15 years, I've identified a few boundary personality types that shed light on why some boundaries feel so challenging. And if you stay till the end, I'll also share how you can have full access to this quiz. But for right now, we are going to self-identify a little bit. So this next slide here lists our boundary personalities, and these are just some of the traits. So the overlooked giver feels unworthy of prioritizing their own needs, often neglecting self-care. They avoid setting boundaries due to fear of feeling selfish or guilty. They believe others' needs are more valid, and they are more likely to self-sacrifice as well. So the independent manager seeks to maintain control over situations, feels frustrated if boundaries are ignored, sets boundaries, expecting others to adjust their behavior, focuses on compliance, and believes others should respect their boundaries if they care. And then lastly, the peaceful justifier justifies other people's behavior to avoid conflict and stays positive at their own expense. They also minimize and suppress their true feelings and downplay their own needs. They want to maintain peace. So they do that by compromising their own needs, and they often feel emotionally disconnected as well. So let me know in the comments which one you identify with most. And yes, some of you might identify with all three of them, and that is perfectly okay. But just pick one and let me know which one you identify with most right now in this moment. Susan says the peaceful justifier. Yeah, absolutely. Who else is identifying with some of these? Jen says the independent manager with some overlook giver. Yeah, absolutely. So take Megan, for instance. She says that Raina invites you to see the whole person in yourself and is able to truly guide you to make the most positive and impactful changes in your life. She takes you through creating healthy boundaries and taking courageous steps in your life. She says she feels much more stability and freedom than she ever has, and that she's so grateful for Raina, which is wonderful to hear. But this is how powerful learning how to set boundaries can be, right? You go from somebody who doesn't feel like they have any stability in their life or any freedom to somebody who feels very stable and free to be their whole person, all of them. That is what is available on the other side of healthy boundaries. And that is what I want for each and every one of you. So why do we struggle so much with setting boundaries? Each of these boundary personalities actually started out as a coping mechanism in childhood and turned into your way of being as an adult without you even realizing it. And they also don't really serve us anymore, do they? Right? That's why we're all here. And we also struggle to find what the root cause of it is. And each of these boundary personalities are usually the root cause of a lot of our stress. Maybe you learned in order to keep the peace growing up, you needed to be the good child, the one who is easy. Growing up with one or more parents or caregivers who didn't have healthy boundaries leaves children feeling unsafe and insecure. They soon learn ways to ensure their safety, which mostly looks like doing and being whatever their parents or caregivers needed of them, regardless of their own feelings, needs, and wants. They learn to be wantless, needless, in order to make things easier for their parents or caregivers. They turned into shapeshifters. They learned that if they showed up a certain way or did certain things, that they were more likely to feel safer around their critical or emotionally unstable parent or caregiver. They developed masks and shapeshifted as needed. As long as everyone else around them was comfortable, they were safe. They turned into expert chameleons and gave the appearance of confidence, but deep down, they felt lost, unwanted, unseen, and never quite safe to be themselves. Boundaryless yes machines. If I could just be X enough, fill in the blank enough, then they would all love me. It became a never-ending pit that was insatiable, needing and wanting more external validation and feeling more and more lost the more they sought it out. They find themselves in relationships with people who are similar to their parents or caregivers, who were emotionally unstable or emotionally unavailable, trying to prove that if they could just be this person that their partner needed, that then they would be loved. Right? It's like the things we do for love, things we do for love from our parents, the things we do from love from our partners and our friends and our colleagues. But that's the recipe for making ourselves insane and completely depleted and burned out. That's how we lose ourselves. That's how we get further and further away from our own wants and needs. But we've developed these external shells that we hold up of who others believe us to be, that breaking those down or letting others down seems sometimes worse than death. The mere thought of someone judging us can send us into a complete tailspin. So we keep up these masks in an attempt to never feel judged. And isn't it easier to receive a judgment on someone that you're really not than to be vulnerable in the person we really are? Of course it is. Right? If you're judging someone I'm not, that just rolls off my shoulder. But if I'm vulnerable and you judge me while I'm vulnerable, oh my gosh, it's earth-shattering. That's part of why we keep our armor on. That's part of why we've worked so hard to build it up and keep it. But it's that very armor that's keeping us feeling disconnected and alone in this world. It's time to put down the armor and embrace who we are so that others can truly embrace who we are too. The world needs all of you. You need all of you, not just the shiny, perfect bits, but all of you. It's time to step up and step out and allow yourself to be seen, even if for a tiny moment. But what is the internal growth that sets the stage for confident boundaries? Now that we know the foundation and where all of this is coming from, and that it's not our fault, what's that internal growth look like? Once we recognize these patterns, the next step is working with them from the inside. This isn't about fixing or changing who you are. It's about understanding yourself. It's about embracing who you are. For example, let's say you're always putting more on your plate because you believe it will make things easier for others, or you believe that you should be able to do it all. What if there was a small step you could take that would turn that no into feeling as natural as a yes for you? How interested would you be in that? By doing some gentle internal growth, like practicing actual self-compassion and tuning in to what you really need and what you really want, you'll begin to feel more ease and you'll be able to honor your own needs, especially during times like the holidays. It doesn't have to be some huge disruptive shift that takes place. It can be these small, easy shifts that happen over time. Let's create your commitment statement to yourself for this holiday season right now. This is you getting started. After all, a boundary is not what we ask of others, but what we commit to ourselves that we will do to take care of ourselves when we have reached our limit or before we have reached our limit. So I'm going to bring up this boundary personality slide again. And I want you to take into consideration the boundary personality that you wrote down. Start to focus on one thing. I want you to choose one thing that you want to focus on this holiday season. Okay, so use that pen and paper or that cell phone note and write down one thing that you want to focus on for you this holiday season. It can be big or small, like taking 10 minutes in the morning before everyone else gets up for yourself, or spending extra time in a luxurious shower. Or maybe instead of jumping in and fixing something at your family gathering, you practice the mantra, observe, not absorb, observe, not absorb, and allow others to figure it out. And allow them to be responsible for their own emotions. Or maybe you express a boundary to your family that this holiday season, if people want to talk about politics or fill in any other loaded topic, that you'll be taking your family or yourself to another room, as that conversation brings up a lot of stress at the moment. and you'd rather spend joyful time with them instead. So whatever it might be, take a moment right now to write down just one thing that you want to focus on this holiday season. Maybe it's even not having the house perfect when everyone arrives and allowing people to actually help when they ask what they can do. And yes, this will require you to let go of some control and set a boundary with yourself. And maybe that boundary sounds like, I will not let myself become overwhelmed this year. So when people ask if I can help or offer to do something, I'm simply going to say yes and thank you and let the rest go, because my mental peace is too important to me right now. And done is better than perfect and exhausted. So maybe that's your boundary. And hint, you'll be surprised at the connection that is created when we allow others to join in while we let go of the outcome and the need for perfection. Okay, do you have your one thing? Now, if you're anything like most of my clients, you may have written down more than one thing. And if you did, that's completely okay. And I want you to pick just one to focus on. Yes, you can do more than one, but this is where I want you to slow down and take things off of your plate, not put a million things to focus on top of everything else you already have to do for the holidays. Okay, so look at your list and just choose one. Choose the top priority for you. Something that is actually doable and might even feel a little easy because I want you to feel successful. If you pick something that you know you'll never accomplish with the resources and tools you have right now, then you're simply gathering more evidence that boundaries don't work for you. And that is not what we are here today for. That is not what we're after today. Okay, so just pick one thing. We want to build confidence. Okay, we want to build confidence in your ability to show up for yourself, to have your own back for once, to do something for yourself and stick up for yourself regardless of what's happening around you. And I know you can do it. Okay, I know you can do it. I've done it. One of my clients, Anthea, has done it. When she first came to me, she was depleted and unsure that she could actually put one more thing on her plate. And now she says she feels like she has more time in the day and is free to choose what she does with that time now. So we're going to take that one thing that you just chose and we're going to turn it into your commitment statement or your boundary commitment statement to yourself, right? Because I want to remind everybody that boundaries aren't about us asking other people to do something. Boundaries are about us taking care of ourselves. Okay. So up on the slide, you'll see the boundary commitment statement. And I want you to write this down or type it on your phone, however you're taking notes. I want you to write it down. Okay. So I, fill in your name, commit to honoring my needs and protecting my peace this holiday season. I will prioritize what feels right for me by, fill in the blank, that one thing that you wanted to focus on. And then if I struggle to hold this boundary, I will show myself compassion. If I struggle, I will show myself compassion and remind myself that I am worthy of care, balance, and joy. I will come back to this commitment as a reminder that I deserve a holiday that feels fulfilling and true to me too. No, seriously, I really want you to write this down. Maybe you're in the middle of cooking dinner or doing something else around the house. Just pause for one moment. Just take a moment to write it down. I'm going to leave it up on the screen here. This is your boundary commitment to yourself this holiday season. Now take a look at your statement, and I want you to circle or highlight the self-care you have included for yourself. Because remember, a boundary isn't something we ask others, but it is something we do to take care of ourselves when we have reached our limits, or to make sure that we don't reach our limits. If the self-care is missing, I want you to write it in right now. Okay, that's the most important part of this boundary commitment statement. It's not a boundary if there's no self-care. It's not a boundary if we're asking others to change their behavior or shift something. It's a boundary when it has self-care. A boundary says what I'm going to do to keep myself safe and supported and cared for. So if this is going too fast, please let me know. But if anybody's finished with their commitment statement, like your commitment to yourself, feel free to put it in the chat. I would love to see it. And if any of you practice manifestation, you know that sending it out into the world helps it come back 20-fold. But regardless, take a moment to seal this commitment to yourself right now. Set that intention. Make it a reality. Right now, in this moment, will it to be. Will it to be. Make that commitment. Maybe for the very first time in your whole life. What is it that you're going to focus on this holiday season that's going to protect your peace, your energy, your self-worth? Lock that in. Make that commitment to yourself. Now, I know some of you might have some skeptical parts popping up. Susan, there you go. Good. Keeping my father away from me. Yeah. So that's an action. So put that in your full boundary statement. I will prioritize what feels right for me by keeping my father away from me. And then, Susan, I want you to follow that up with, if that doesn't happen, if you aren't able to keep him away from you, what will you do to take care of yourself? Right? There's so much that's not in our control. We have free will, so does everyone else, fortunately and unfortunately. So I want you to follow that up. If that does accidentally happen, what will you do to take care of yourself? And you can put it in the chat or you can keep it to yourself. But I do want you to follow up with that. So if there's anybody who's having some skeptical parts popping up right now, I really want to welcome them in and invite them in right now, because one of the best ways to make sure you follow through with this commitment is to prove it to yourself. Is to prove it to yourself that you are worth it. And that skeptical part, those little voices in our heads that's popping up, all it really wants is to protect you and keep you safe. And so that skeptical voice that you hear, I want you to reassure it that you are safe. And from now on, it won't have to work so hard to ensure your safety. Because with this commitment statement, that's exactly what you are doing. You're ensuring that you are safe, that you are cared for, that you are protected this holiday season. So before we move on, I just want to make sure that everyone has their commitment statement. We can work through these together, and I'll take questions at the end. So if you want to keep working on that, that's completely okay. If you've completed yours, just type done in the chat. I don't want to rush anybody or make it feel like we're moving too fast. So first, I want you to imagine that you start to feel like you have more time on your hands. Then you realize there's a sense of peace and groundedness blossoming within you. Then you begin to make small adjustments with how and whom you spend your time. Next, you start to feel a deeper connection to not only yourself, but those around you. A sense of balance begins to spread across your life. You start to only put on your plate what is important to you. And you are able to prioritize your needs and wants, let alone know what they are. But then this funny thing starts to happen. When others ask something of you, you're able to actually say yes because you know what your no sounds like. And you feel like you have more capacity to say yes and give effortlessly from your overflow without depleting yourself because you are already full and no longer running on empty. Imagine to actually understand what your yes means because you know what your no means. That when you say yes, you're actually saying yes. Because right now, a lot of us are saying yes and we don't actually mean it. Now, I know what you're thinking, or what you might be thinking. Yeah, that would be nice in a dream world right now. Okay. But I promise you, if I can do it, and if so many of my clients can do it, you can too. Take Sarah, for instance. When Sarah first came to me, she was overwhelmed, constantly saying yes to everyone because she believed it was the only way to keep things running smoothly. But inside, she felt exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from what she truly wanted. Together, we uncovered the deep-rooted patterns that kept her stuck in this cycle and worked gently to build her self-confidence. She started small, learning to pause and ask herself what she really wanted before committing to anything else. Over time, Sarah noticed a shift. She had more energy, felt calmer, and began prioritizing her own needs without guilt. By learning to say no with clarity and grace, she found herself able to say yes with genuine joy and giving from an abundance rather than depletion. Today, Sarah feels balanced, grounded, and in control of her life. Wouldn't that be nice? And no, this doesn't happen overnight. And I'm not selling a quick fix or 3 tips, and then all your stresses and problems are gone. That's not what this is. But what I can tell you is that it doesn't take as much as you think it does to have this kind of life. The only thing you need to have right now, in this moment, is the courage to start. That's it. I'll take you the rest of the way. And when you get there, I promise you will be so happy and elated that you started when you did, and you did it. So, the path to confident boundaries. Now, like I said previously, I will take you the rest of the way and give you the knowledge, tools, and proven strategies to make these everlasting, simple steps towards maintaining confident boundaries. So you can confidently live a life in alignment with your needs and wants without feeling guilty and without second guessing yourself at every turn. Wouldn't that be nice? And so that you can clearly and compassionately speak up for yourself. And most importantly, you'll feel a sense of inner peace you've been craving this whole time. So imagine, just let yourself imagine for a moment, a world in which all you have to do is wake up and be you, all of you. That's it. And people will love you for that and appreciate you for that. Imagine the ease that would come with simply showing up as you are, effortlessly, without having to shapeshift, without having to control yourself or contort yourself into what others want of you, because you actually believe in yourself and you actually like who you are. And you have that self-confidence and that self-esteem, and you trust yourself. This is what is available to you in the 90 Days to Confident Boundaries course. Unshakable confidence in yourself and setting boundaries. You'll know how to protect your energy and time, ensuring your needs are met too. This means less burnout and more balance in your life. Clarity on your core values, right? This is for everyone who's like, I don't even know what my wants and needs are. Your boundaries will align with what truly matters to you, making decisions easier and more fulfilling. And this is where you get to learn what your needs and wants are. This is the foundation of your boundaries. The ability to say no without guilt. Woo! Wouldn't that be incredible? You'll stop worrying about how others perceive you and start honoring your own needs. Yeah. Healthier, more meaningful relationships. You'll engage from a place of confidence and not obligation. Nobody wants to feel obligated, right? You'll have freedom from people pleasing. You'll finally feel empowered to live authentically without seeking external validation. A lot of us are running our lives on that right now. Imagine what it would be like to not need that. And last, but very much not least, you'll learn how to emotionally regulate yourself from the inside out, feeling a deep sense of inner peace and stability. So these are some of the things that are included in the program. Just a little sneak peek. We take the guessing out of setting confident boundaries with my unique step-by-step method to not only set and hold clear boundaries, but building confidence within yourself while doing that, all while leaving guilt, overwhelm behind. So you'll learn the key foundations of a boundary. You've got a few today, right? Realizing that a boundary is what I'm going to do to take care of myself. It's not me making a request, right? The difference between a request and a boundary, what a boundary is and what a boundary isn't. The boundary formula, it's my secret formula. But it's step by step to break down boundaries and really make sure that you're setting a boundary and do it with confidence. And then exploring true self-care. So we also will have real, in-person, live practice in those sessions. It's so much more than practice, right? There's 3 of them throughout the 90 days, basically 1 per month. And this is where you have exclusive access to me to ask questions, get support, and bring anything that you might be struggling with to me. This is where breakthroughs happen. This is where the breakthroughs happen. Okay? This is where we move past the roadblocks, fully step into setting boundaries with confidence, not only in your boundaries, but yourself too. This is my unique process, which gets to the heart of why you feel guilty holding boundaries and heals where the guilt is coming from for total transformation. It's not just a boundary journey. It's a you journey. What would a peaceful holiday mean to you? What would a calm and actually rejuvenating holiday be worth to you? Go to that link right now and reserve your spot so you don't have to spend another holiday season overwhelmed and exhausted. Get in now before you find yourself saying yes to everything. And if you sign up now, you'll have instant access to the Boundary Personality Quiz right off the bat. So click that link. Put yourself first right now, in this moment. You are worth it. You are. You are worth it. And if there are parts of you that might not believe that right now, that's okay. I'll hold that belief for you. I can hold that for us. Because I know you're worth it. You showed up right now for yourself for this workshop today. And you stayed. That was step 1 of showing yourself that you're worth it. So click on that link, reserve your spot, make all the holidays this season a little easier on you because you are worth it. You are worth it. Sometimes we just need the right support to create lasting change. This means having a structured path, like the 90 days to confident boundaries, where you have access to guidance, strategies, and a community of people cheering you on. Boundaries feel so difficult because we often try to do it alone and without a roadmap. But having even one person in your corner can help break these patterns with ease. I'd love for you to experience what is possible when you have the right support and proven tools. That's why I created 90 Days to Confident Boundaries, to help you make these small, easy changes to build real, lasting confidence in yourself. Imagine building on these skills. No more stress over setting boundaries with family. No more feeling torn between helping others and protecting your energy. You'll walk away with a sense of calm and ease, knowing that you can handle those tricky situations. So let's make this holiday season different for you. Join me in this journey and let's get started now, so you can enjoy the holiday season and have it truly feel like it's yours. That's something to celebrate. That's what this time of year is supposed to be about, right? Let the holiday season be one you look forward to instead of dread. Let it be the time of year that you actually get some downtime and get to recuperate. I mean, after all, nature is asking us to slow down. That is why the days get darker and darker as the holidays approach. Whether we like it or not, nature demands that we slow down and rest and recuperate during this time of year. So imagine if you could take her up on that offer and actually slow down. Imagine if the holidays could be a place of reprieve and recharge instead of depletion, overwhelm, and stress. What would that mean to you? What would that be worth to you? All right. Up next is our question time. So if you have any questions at all, right? First, I want you to click on the link, reserve your spot. This goes away after we're done here. So I want you to click on the link, reserve your spot, and then I want you to come back. And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask them. If you struggle with a portion of your boundary commitment statement, this right now is the time to ask. So just pop it in the chat if you have any questions right now. And no question is too big or too small. This is your time right now to ask anything you would like. No question is too big. No question is too small. And I guarantee if you're thinking it, someone else is too. Or if you want to workshop your boundary statement, I'm here for that too. And if it feels a little scary, if you do want to work on your boundary statement, you can just type me in the chat if that feels a little less like the spotlight is on you. I won't ask you to come on camera. Okay, so an anonymous attendee just asked how to confidently answer family or friends' questions that hurt us. So I know that you want to remain anonymous, and I absolutely respect that. Could you add a little bit of context for that for me? What are the questions pertaining to? And you can type it in as an anonymous question as well. And what is it about the questions that you struggle with right now? Is it answering them? Is it not wanting to answer them honestly? Yeah, okay. So struggling to get pregnant. Yeah, wow. First, I just want to acknowledge that that is a really difficult journey and takes so much from us, and it is highly personal. So I completely understand why you don't want to answer questions to your family about that. It can be triggering in so many ways. When we are trying to get pregnant, there's so much that's out of our control, but our society sometimes makes us feel like there's a lot that's in our control when there really isn't a lot. So first, I just want to acknowledge that this is a highly emotional subject, very vulnerable, and very personal too. Even family members don't get to talk about this sometimes. So depending on how you feel, right? If this was a conversation back and forth, but I won't ask you to speak or get on camera because I want to acknowledge that you're remaining anonymous. The example that I gave previously of not wanting to talk about politics during the holiday season, okay? I want you to focus on that example. So the boundary for that was, if you want to talk about pregnancy, I am going to politely decline because that subject brings me a lot of stress right now. And I would rather spend some joyful time with you. Or you could even say, oh my gosh, that's such a loaded subject. Can we talk about something else? Oh, but I just want to know, like, how's it going? And I know it's been a struggle and Thank you so much for caring. I so very much appreciate you caring and wanting to be involved in this conversation. But right now, I just want to enjoy everyone's company. My life is consumed with that right now, and I would just rather just put it on the back burner for right now. Is that okay with you? Oh, sure, I guess. I mean, if you don't want to share things with us, it's not that I don't want to share. It's just that I want to be present here in this moment with you and enjoy a conversation that isn't so consuming of me. Can you understand that? Right? So it doesn't have to be this conversation that is like, no, we're not doing this, we're not talking about it, don't ask me. It can be something that comes from a space of love and honesty without actually saying a lot. How helpful is that right now? Does that help? It is really helpful. Good, good. Is there any piece of that that feels a little off to you, or that you're a little unsure of? And if you want to practice, I'm all about role playing sometimes, because it's pretty scary saying it to someone that you don't know. So maybe we get the nerves out right away, so that when you say it to the person that you do know, maybe it seems a little less nerve filled. So if you want, you can even check, you can type it as anonymous still in the Q&A, and just maybe type out what you want to say, just to kind of practice a little bit right now. Right? Remember to come from a place of clarity and compassion for yourself and for others too. But I know the majority of the people who are here right now, compassion for others comes pretty easily, but compassion for ourselves might not come as easily. Yeah. So I'm just going to refer to you as the anonymous attendee. If you want to kind of workshop that more, feel free to do the same thing, and you can kind of put what you would say in return in that Q&A, and we can kind of go a little bit further with that. Who else has questions? Who else has questions? Oh, Jen, I see you. You said, thanks for this. It's a great reminder to myself and my friends who joined me. Oh, thank you for bringing your friends. Nice. Yes. Lovely. Good. Yes, you are welcome. I do care. I do care very, very much. And I really genuinely want you to enjoy the holiday season. And I know, I personally know how hard it is to go through the holidays when pregnancy is in the forefront. So just be really gentle with yourself. Be really, really gentle with yourself, okay? It's a lot that you're going through on top of everything else that is included in the holiday season. on top of all the stress that we have and the to-dos. Who else might have questions? You can ask anything. If you have questions about 90 days to confident boundaries, you click that link. There's a lot of information on it there too, but if you have any questions, you can pop them in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them. Can we get a copy of the slides or the replay by chance? Yes, Karina. So there will be a replay to kind of have this in their back pocket to kind of remember and go through again and workshop that boundary commitment statement. There will be a replay for sure. Yes, you're welcome. You are absolutely welcome. Okay, so I have no contact with my family due to the abusive dynamic. That's probably smart. I'm really proud that you have taken that. If it's an abusive relationship, I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, I'm not glad that you aren't able to be with your family, but protecting yourself is top priority, okay? I have problems to put boundaries with abusive people. How can I put boundaries with an abusive, aggressive person or sarcastic person? Passive aggressive comments or sarcastic and hurtful. Yeah. So if this is a current relationship that you're in, that you're not able, like if you're living with this person right now, and first of all, I want to acknowledge that this is a very normal pattern when people come from an abusive childhood, just like I said in one of my slides earlier, that we duplicate those relationships as adults without knowing it. So it's not on purpose. It's just what's familiar. It's what we believe we deserve, unfortunately. And so I just want to be really gentle and say that it makes sense that you find yourself in these kinds of relationships, and there is freedom. You can heal and you can learn to be able to get out of these kinds of relationships. So if this is a person that you currently are with, that you live with right now, it's a little different, right? Because your safety is the top priority. I just want to say that your safety is the top priority, your mental, emotional, and physical safety. And one way to de-escalate when somebody's being really aggressive or really hurtful or sarcastic is to not give more to the fire. It's to not play the game. They're baiting you. They're baiting you with sarcasm or something that's hurtful because they want that reaction. They want the reaction. They want to see that something hurt. And oftentimes, I don't know the dynamic in your relationship, but oftentimes that happens. They bait you with something that's hurtful so that they can come in and repair. Maybe not right away, but later. And it's kind of that bait and switch. Something hurtful comes, and then they become the savior and they make it better. And everything's okay. And I love you. And I'm so sorry I did that. And then the cycle continues. Okay. So that's part of the dynamic. Like I said, I don't know all of your relationship, but not playing the game. I know that it's hurtful, and I'm guessing that these people or this person is really close to you, but not playing the game, not taking the bait. That hurtful comment is the bait. So what do you do in that moment, right? This is your boundary. What do you do in that moment to care for yourself? What do you do in that moment to care for yourself? It's not about the other person. It's not about making them stop being sarcastic or stop being hurtful or stop saying the things that they say to you, because that's not going to happen. We don't have control over other people, but we do have control over ourselves. And I'll give you an example of a boundary. And like I said, I don't know the full relationship, so I want to make sure that your safety is first. So if this person is physically aggressive, and this is going to be an instigating thing, I would not go with this example. But if they're just passive aggressive and they're sarcastic comments and they're harmful, and that's not just, this is all emotionally damaging as well. Some things that you can do in the moment when someone's yelling at you. When there is a moment that is calm, so before the yelling starts, before the sarcasm starts, before the hurtful comments start, before the passive aggressiveness starts, when there's a moment where things feel like they're good, I want you to say, you know, the last time that you were so sarcastic, it really hurt me. And I know that probably wasn't your intention, but I just want you to know that if that happens again, I might need to remove myself from the conversation. And it's nothing to do with you, but it's just the way that I need to protect myself, because something that you're saying is really hitting me in a way that's really hurtful. And I can't really continue on in the conversation anymore when that happens. So I might need to leave the conversation just to emotionally regulate myself. I'll come back when I feel more regulated. But I just want you to know that the next time that happens, that might be something I need to do to take care of myself. Where was the focus of that? Was it on them? No, it was on you and what you're going to do to take care of yourself. A lot of times we try to communicate these things in the very moment, but if we are emotionally hurt in the moment, our words are going to come out, most likely also hurtful, and an argument can start. A lot of times people will get defensive. And if somebody does get defensive, you can say, I just want you to hear that this is what I'm doing for me. I'm not asking you to do anything different. I'm not asking you to do anything different. I'm just letting you know that this is what I need to do for me to take care of myself. Right? You're taking the pressure off of them again. And if their response is, oh, okay, go take care of yourself, just leave it at that. And do that boundary right then, because I'm sure that that comment would also hurt. So you can remove yourself from the conversation, or whatever the self-care needs to be. It doesn't have to be removed. That's just an easy example to give. How is that settling with you? How helpful is that right now? Will you type in the chat? Let me know. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Is there any part of that that feels a little unclear for you, or that you might want to practice a little bit? Yes, it is prioritizing yourself with self-care. Absolutely. A lot of us have gone about boundaries and saying what we're okay with and what we're not okay with by saying, you can't do this to me anymore, or you need to change, or whatever, and it starts an argument. But it's much harder to argue with someone when they're just saying, this is what I'm going to do to take care of myself. And if the other person isn't okay with you taking care of yourself, it might be time to reassess the relationship. It might be time to realize that you're worth being with people who do care about you and who have your best interests at heart. And if you want more practice with setting boundaries, I highly encourage all of you to sign up for the 90 Days to Confident Boundaries. There's so much more in that. There's tons of practice. There's a lot of getting to the root of some of the reasons why we find ourselves in the relationships that we're in, whether it's romantic or work or friends or family. That's why it's 90 days and not just a week worth of content and then you're set off into the wild to practice on your own. Yeah, there's a lot of support in this program. Anybody else have any questions? Anything at all about the program, about something that we covered today, about your boundary statement? So the replay will be available, but you're more than welcome to watch the replay and jot down some of your notes. A lot of the key points that I said are on the slides too. If any of you have any last questions, more questions, going once, going twice. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up, for participating, for engaging, for asking questions, for letting us work through all of this together. I will see you all in the 90 days to confident boundaries.